Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of our Dental Disruptors Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Larsen, here with my co-host, Clint Berry, and a friend of ours, Bonnie Thompson. Her and I were chatting before this, and I'm pretty sure she's the first person ever to be on our podcast twice. Is that right, Clint?
Yeah, that's true.
I think so. She was on as one of the. She spoke at the Dental Operations Symposium, which was a great event. Shout out to Dr. Moser, Santosh, and Dr. Alderman. I think is how it's pronounced. Dr. Alderman. It was a fantastic event. We met Bonnie there. She came on for a short snippet of the podcast, and here she is again. So Bonnie, thank you for putting up with us, joining us again on our podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
And today's even is a very special podcast because it's the second of our series introducing to the industry some of our winners for the top operational leaders in dentistry. Bonnie, congratulations to you. Very well deserved. And I'm really excited to be able to provide this platform for you to share your story with others so that others can see how amazing you are and see some of the fantastic work that you're doing. So congratulations to you. Very well deserved.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So to begin, we want to just let our audience get to know you a little bit, Bonnie, before we get into some of the criteria of the award and everything. So we want to start just talking about your journey in dentistry. So if you don't mind, tell us how you got your start in dentistry a little bit. And then a little bit about the evolution of your career and how you've stepped into a leadership role and a little bit of that background.
Absolutely. When we spoke the first time, I joked that I had gone to my guidance counselor in high school and asked for directions towards a real job because I was tired of babysitting and working in bakeries. And she pointed me in the direction of a dental office. And it was an office that was very popular for hiring from our high school. The doctor had graduated from there. I was 16. I thought I was going to file charts and do all of that because it was a long, long time ago, 36 years ago, actually. And I was handed a suction and some gloves and glasses and a mask and said, here you go. You're going to learn how to assist. And I thought it was going to be a part-time job. I never envisioned I would stay. I figured this will at least get me, through high school and maybe through part of college. It's, a career type role, but it wasn't something I saw myself in long term. I wanted to pursue accounting, and I continued to pursue my accounting degree, but I slowly fell in love with the dental field. It became a passion for me. I realized my nurturing state at that point was to help people have answers, hold their hand. And my thirst for knowledge and always asking why and how kind of pushed me into understanding more of insurance and how we book and how we schedule. And then as I kind of got my feet wet in the accounting side of things through college, I was allowed to partner in one of my offices with the bookkeepers and the accountants to see the way the business side of things ran. So I really got to see how the cost of everything played out and what we were spending money on and how we were earning money. And I was able to take that back. I really love the people side of things. I still love connecting with patients when I can. But now I get to work in a role where I get to take the business process and deliver it to the teams in a way that shows them how important they are to the entire process and how that makes the dental office successful, how it makes a patient experience successful, and that's where I find my passion.
I love how Clint and I were talking about this on our last episode. It's so interesting how inside of the dental industry, so many people have been provided opportunities by other leaders that give them these chances and mentor and coach. And Bonnie, you're another great example of someone that was just kind of thrown into it, fell in love with it, worked hard, and has really made a great career for yourself, which is awesome. So looking back, what were some of the pivotal moments in your journey to leadership that kind of shaped how you approach leadership today?
I had leaders early on that were very confident and knowledgeable, so they would always provide answers. So if I had, and I asked a million questions, like, why do we do it this way? And why does that have to happen? Or why did this claim get denied? Thankfully, I had people around me that were patient enough to give me those answers and not treat me like I was ridiculous for asking questions, and encouraged me. I mean, they would see things in me that I didn't see in myself. I think my first manager role, I didn't know that I wanted it necessarily, and I didn't know that I deserved it. But there was somebody above me that said, I really think that you would do a great job because you have that way of helping other people. So I could help the other front desk people understand what was important about what we were doing. And I was always, again, very connected to the patient. So I think that customer service, just, I don't know, instinct was always there. And so it's kind of lead by example. So I could lead the other front desk staff with that same compassion for patients.
That's awesome. So let's now learn a little bit about where you are today. So that's been your journey. Tell people your position today, the organization you work for. Give us a little update of where you are now.
I am blessed beyond what I am deserving of, I feel. I am the COO of Forest Family Dentistry here in Austin, Texas. I work very closely with the owner, Dr. Robin Bethel. He has 5 locations in Austin, and we are set to open 2 to 3 more next year.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Exciting
thanks.
times.
It is very busy.
More offices means more work for you, right, Bonnie?
You know what? It's more love to give, I feel. I
Love
think
it.
that we're strategic. We're not just opening because we want one on every corner. We have a lot of doctors that believe in what he's doing and they want to continue that mission. And there's enough population and demographic in the areas we're expanding to that I think we're able to scale without diluting the culture.
That's awesome. We're excited to learn about that. So let's now pivot. We've learned a little bit about Bonnie, who she is, where she's been, what she's doing now. And I want to start to talk about some of the reasons and attributes and accomplishments in your career that have led you to be one of our winners of this year's award. And I want to talk about the operational excellence and how you've put that in action. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the criteria that we judge this on, and I want to begin with talking about just some of the practices that you put in place inside of your organization, clear and effective practices. What are some of the systems, frameworks, things like that help you keep your organization running smoothly, even as you are now scaling and adding more location, and as Clint put it, more work to be done?
It's a good thing I'm a workaholic, that's for sure. I think one of the big things is Dr. Bethel and I follow the EOS model, so it's the traction model. And a lot of that model requires you to kind of have the right layers for the right accountability. And when I got to Forest Family, there were a lot of opportunities for us to improve that accountability and those layers in the organization. We didn't have formal office managers at each location, so we were able to promote from within for most of those roles, find people within the organization that really had a passion and understood where the business was going and put them into leadership roles. And I've been able to work very closely with them. I hold monthly mentorship meetings with my managers. I also visit them every 2 weeks in their office so that we can address the challenges that they're having. And I think that from my own experience and the pathway that I've had throughout my career and having somebody that could kind of hold my hand, but then also stand behind me and let me walk on my own a little bit, I try to provide a perfect balance for leaders in those roles as well.
I like that a lot. I want to hear just a titch more about the mentoring meetings. Like what goes on in that? I like that it's explicit, and I like that you call it mentoring meeting instead of just like a one-on-one. Like it's got a very clear purpose. So what is that like?
So the monthly meetings that we hold them off-site just to get away from the noise. There's no interruptions of the people bothering us. And I will usually have some sort of agenda. We usually will have human resources there with us as well. So we'll talk a little bit about, as managers, how we assess or address things and challenges going on with our teams. We also talk about the business side of the organization. So we talk about any challenges that we're having. Sometimes it's an industry-wide thing. You know, sometimes it's an economic issue where the patients are falling off the schedule a little bit more consistently with back to school, or there's an election coming up or something like that. And then sometimes it's just cold and flu season. So we just talk about ways to keep the schedule busy. So once a month we do that, but once a quarter we change that meeting up a little bit. And rather than just talk about the day-to-day, I actually create a platform for the managers to enter their own KPIs and report back as a group. So we have this small safe space of 7 people, and they get to talk about their production, their collections, their accounts receivable, their broken appointment ratios, their call answer ratios, who their highest performing doctors are, in a space that lets them get comfortable presenting, but it also gets them comfortable with understanding the metrics that and the levers that move the success of the business.
That's so great. I mean, I have so many questions, but this is not probably the right podcast for it. But I will just
Podcast
ask
3.
one. I want to know one of those KPIs you mentioned was like your call answer ratio. I'm just curious how you calculate that.
So we use Mango, and
Hey.
Mango, yeah. So Mango
friend of
does
ours.
the. I know. I remember from the symposium. They have a great reports metric that lets us know how many calls came into the practice, how many were answered, how many went to voicemail, and how many hung up. And we have worked really hard with our teams to understand the importance of answering every call. Like every marketing dollar we spend or initiative that we send out or billing statement we send out, it's important that that patient feels heard when they call. So we have a really good system in place of, making sure we try to get to every call, or what do we do if we miss them?
That's a great segue. So one of the other criteria that we judge the winners on is an innovative mindset, right? What technology and things, or how does it play a role? So besides Mango, what are some other technology or data, or how does technology and how does data play a role in the way that you lead and manage the offices?
Oh, it's so important. I'm a geek for reports. I really do love reports because I think that they tell part of the story. I like the managers to be able to understand the story as well. So between the Mango phone answering things, we've also implemented Flex in our practices, which helps us book online, capture patient paperwork and things like that. It verifies our insurance. There's also a feature inside, because it does our patient communication, that if a call gets missed during business hours, it automatically sends the person calling a text message to say, hey, we're in office. You can either leave a voicemail or text us back here and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if it's after hours, it has a very similar message. So that's been a great feature because it helped cut down on the people that would call, not get an answer, hang up and call right back. That we found was actually impacting our call answer ratio, because that one missed phone call became 5 missed phone calls.
I love hearing this stuff only because I'm like the super phone geek, as Jake and I both came from Weave. So it's like,
That's right.
these are the operational things that I love. It could geek out on all day, but we won't go too deep, right, Jake? Because we'll get
Hey, why not?
I love it.
No, we would call that one missed call texts. Clint built
Yeah.
that one at Weave, or someone on his team did. Who knows?
I'm not
Yeah.
taking credit.
And another one we use that I really love, it's more clinically based, is Pearl AI. So Pearl AI goes in, if you haven't heard of it, it will kind of read the x-rays and it will show just different things within the x-ray, whether there's bone loss or decay and things like that, maybe some infection. The reason I love it from the patient communication standpoint is I feel that it helps the doctor show the patient the issues that we're looking at in a faster way than trying to teach the patient to read 60 or 70 different versions of the shades of gray that might show up on an x-ray to show them where decay might be. I feel that this product, where it will flash pink if there's decay, is like, hey, see the spot that's lighting up pink? When we remove the pink, you might see that change in the gray. It's a quicker visual for the patient. The doctor's not having to spend as much time on teaching how to read the x-ray, and they can spend more time building the relationship and trust.
That's awesome. We have some good friends over at Pearl. We'll have to tell them about your raving review. Love those.
Oh,
guys.
I love it so much. It really gives them the time back with the patient to have a relationship and educate.
It's kind of a side question again. Sorry, Clint and I can't help ourselves sometimes. I'm curious, have you seen case acceptance rates go up using it?
The doctors that use it more in case presentation, I do feel like it's been helpful. There are some that are still more using it on the back end they'll find it when they're in their office reviewing the x-rays, and then when they go in, they'll highlight it. I think sometimes they get a little nervous using that as a tool with the patient, feeling like maybe for some of them it might look like they didn't diagnose it themselves.
Interesting. Well, next time we are at a conference and we meet up, Bonnie, we'll follow up and see how it's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about just leadership impact in general. What are some of the ways that you try to inspire your team and align people across departments and different offices?
During our recent whole team training day, I did a presentation and I made a whole placemat, so to speak, on my slides about the different roles in our company, whether you're a dental assistant or the front desk or you're a hygienist, because all of those roles are what make up one big team for us. And we're very strategic. Like, we have a doctor, and we know that every doctor has 2 dental assistants, every hygienist, and then a hygienist has a dental assistant. We have 1 front desk person per full-time doctor. And so I let them know that you're not here by accident. We have a team, and we have a certain size of our team to fit the need of our patients and what we have going on. But every role is important, because we could hire 100 extra people, but we just have bodies bouncing around in the hall. So the fact that you are part of our team and you represent one of those people means that you have an important role. And I built out an entire patient life cycle and who the people are on our team that touch the patient at each part of the journey. So when they call and book their appointment, we might have somebody from the insurance verification team making sure that we're set up for success. We have the front desk calling to verify that they're booked for the right things, and then we're checking to make sure that they understand if they have a copay, so that one, we set the right expectations, and 2, we don't miss any piece of information. Like, we don't schedule them for a cleaning if they're in pain. And then we talked about how important the handoff between the front desk and the dental assistants are, so that the dental assistants know everything that we've already talked about, so the patient doesn't have to repeat themselves a million times. And then right back through the process of going through treatment, getting a treatment plan, understanding and having that confidence that it's right, so that the patient doesn't have a surprise bill later, and then also through checkout, billing, and then return for their cleanings. So I try to just make sure that everybody knows that at some touch point during that patient process, they are a very valuable part.
I love that. I think that sometimes people in any type of organization, whether it's in a tech company like where Clint and I spend our time, or in a dental office, there's the risk that in the routine or the day-to-day, people can feel just like a cog in the wheel. They just feel like they're doing their task and lose excitement, motivation. But when they understand how important their role is, I think it humanizes the job, right? And it makes them understand how critical they are and how as an organization you care about them. And ultimately, then they're going to turn around and care more about the patient and the work that they're actually doing, which all the KPIs are going to tell the story of those people doing a great job. So I love that. That's awesome. All right, last thing we're going to talk about as far as the criteria for the award, and then we're going to talk about some other industry related things. But one of the things that we looked for in the winners is people that are always trying to push beyond the status quo and improve themselves and learn and grow. What are some things that you're currently learning or work that you're doing to improve yourself as a leader and in your role generally?
I have spent the majority of this past year really putting myself out there. I know we spoke recently about the number of posts that I'm doing on LinkedIn and the connections that I'm making, and it wasn't done with any particular growth intent, except just to empower myself with more knowledge, with more connections in the industry. One of the things that the Dental Operations Symposium gave me was friends that I probably never would have made otherwise if I sat in my own little bubble. And we talked about how lonely it can be in leadership sometimes when you can't vent down. You can't, always find the answers in those spaces of people that you're trying to lead, although some of them do have great ideas to get you there. So having a network of people, and that's what I have found through my LinkedIn posting, of sharing ideas and philosophies or experiences or other connections to other vendors has been super powerful. I have taken on initiatives to do speaking engagements. I sat on a panel with Dr. Alderman in Austin back in, I think it was March, about AI and dentistry and the way that those are converting. I'm trying to learn new AI tools every day to improve not just, my work efficiency, but also the things that we're doing for my team, building out training modules and making sure that they're tailored to the audience that they'll be used for. And I look to do more speaking engagements and more educational things as we grow, because I feel like those things push me outside of my own comfort zone quite a bit. This was something I never probably would have done 2 years ago. I would have been too anxious.
Yeah, I love it. And for those of you that are not connected with Bonnie on LinkedIn, you definitely should. I really appreciate Bonnie's content. Like she mentioned, her and I talked about this a few weeks ago, and how genuine and selfless her content is. It's super clear that everything that she's posting is just to share and uplift others, and it's not self-promoting or anything like that. It's just genuine stories. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm finding that's helping me. So if you're an operational leader trying to get ideas, trying to have someone that is going through the same things as you are and has been there, done that, Bonnie is a great person to connect with, and the content that she's putting out is really awesome. All right, let's pivot here. I would just want to take your industry knowledge and all that you're seeing and kind of try to share with some of the other operational leaders out there what types of things we see coming or things that you're thinking about in the future. So where do you see the biggest operational challenges for DSOs? What are some of those operational challenges that are coming over the next 2 to 3 years that you're starting to think about?
Oh, geez. There's always competition, obviously. As we see a lot of the single sole practitioner offices kind of fading away a little bit, we're seeing more marketing dollars spent on these bigger DSOs that can work in areas where you've got other growing and competing DSOs starting. So I've had a few of my colleagues work in offices that are now affiliating with DSOs, and you've got big name ones out there. You've got the Aspens and things like that. And I think that it's for patients, it's finding that right one that works for them, finding the right culture fit, because culture is one thing that we talk about as far as teamwork and things like that, but patients will feel the culture too. And I think it's going to be these DSOs adapting to the culture that the patients are wanting.
That's fascinating. Yeah, we had our last interview talked about they were doing some like patient welcome calls, right? Mm-hmm. Those types of things where the office manager was calling them directly, and I think that's just an example of what you're saying, where it's little things where the patient from the get-go is able to kind of feel what their total experience is going to be, and as they find that fit, they feel comfortable, and then they're probably not going anywhere, right? It's not a competition on price anymore or anything like that. It's where they feel most comfortable, that brand that you're building, which is really cool.
Well, and I talk about this with my teams too. We're in Austin. It's a busy, robust area. It's not, one doctor every 50,000 miles. But we're not in competition with everybody for the things like we do Invisalign, or we have iTero scanners, or, we do fillings or sleep study or anything like that. It's really the feeling that the patient gets. It's their feeling heard and feeling seen and feeling cared for, and all of those things that it's exclusive to them. Some people want to take their whole family to one location and they want that office to feel like that. Other people are like, I'm going to bring my kids to a kid dentist, and I want to go to an adult dentist, and I want it bougier, or I want it fancier, or I want, a chandelier. And other people are like, I don't want the chandelier. I just want a comfortable space where I, welcome. Kind of like that show Cheers from years ago, when people would walk through the door and they'd be like, Norm! Kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's before my time, Bonnie. Come on.
It's not before
kidding.
mine. I'm just old.
You know what she's talking
I
about,
know.
Jake.
I was
Don't act like you
joking,
don't.
trying to pretend like I'm not old, but I
Wait
am.
for my next LinkedIn post now.
Where everybody knows your
Yeah.
name. See?
Right?
We all know it.
That's great. Okay. Let's just a couple more questions and then we can wrap up. Bonnie, you've been so gracious with your time. What advice would you give to emerging DSO operation leaders?
Wow. Okay. I guess I would say enjoy the ride. You know, be humble, be vulnerable when you need to, be honest always, and be open to new things. It's an ever evolving industry with the changes between technology and AI and products and all those things. You need to be able to pivot, but you need to be able to hold down the fort when necessary. I would say find a place if you're evolving in this field and growing in it and you found your passion in it like I did, alignment is everything. And I had a conversation recently with a colleague and was like, I would be the best fit anywhere. I have all this knowledge and I would be perfect. And it took a pause and I said, you know what? The reality is you could, but alignment is everything. And if your values and the company values don't align perfectly, it's never going to feel like a good fit. So you might know all the things and be able to do all the tasks, but you want to find a place where your culture fits the company culture so that you guys can thrive together.
I love that advice. I love how your spin on that was not something clinical or something operational, and it really applies to any experience, right? I think back to our days at Weave, and there were mornings where Clint broke the phone system. This was really early on.
Never.
Clint
Never
broke the
once.
phones. And the East Coast offices would start to open up, and my phone would start to ring at 4 a.m, and I'm in the closet trying to. And I look back at that experience of Weave, and I'm so grateful that Clint broke the phone system because it made me appreciate. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm grateful for those moments because they were just a part of the journey. And at the time, it felt like everything was falling apart, and it was really hard. And I probably didn't take advantage to step back and appreciate how great it actually was. So I love that advice because I'm sure that there's operation leaders out there that feel like there's a million things going on. It's so hard. These patients called and they were upset and they feel like they're failing at their job or whatever. But ultimately, that's great advice to just take a step back and realize how great the journey actually is. And even in the failures, there's things that you're learning and growing from. And I love that little spin on it, Bonnie. I wasn't expecting something like that, but I think that's great advice to any operations leader.
Well, you know what it is? I would lie if I said that the hard times weren't hard. And I would be lying if I said there weren't times that I either came home from work crying in the past or I got up for work in the morning and cried before I went in because something just didn't feel right. But I am so grateful for overcoming every single one of those now because, like you said, when you break the phone system, no offense, Clint, when you get to fix it, you now know how to deal with that in the future, or you at least know how to keep everybody calm during the in-between. And God forbid it ever happens again, you can be like, psh, this is nothing. I got this.
Yeah.
I know lots of ways to fix a phone system now, right, Jake?
In Clint's defense, we had no money back then, and he was on very limited resources and very little sleep to begin with. So, and ultimately, he fixed it. Look at Weave now, right? It's great.
Look at it. Look at it.
Awesome. Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for joining us. We mentioned you can follow Bonnie on LinkedIn. She's very active there. If anyone has additional questions for her or would just like to see the amazing content that she's putting out there, but definitely follow her. Clint, you got any final words? Anything you want to say before we end?
No, just congrats, Bonnie. You're amazing. We're lucky to know you, and thanks for being a part of this. This is great.
Thank you for doing this. This is something I never imagined was even possible, and I'm humbled by it. But I think it's incredible that you've given a pathway for people to recognize leaders in the industry that work really hard. And I know that there was incredible talent in that pool of people. I watched all the posts you put up, and humbled to be acknowledged in that group.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, and thanks everybody for listening. We've got one more episode with our third winner coming up soon. But we appreciate everyone for listening as always. And thanks again, Bonnie, for joining us. We hope everybody has a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one.